Absolutely. Here's a deeply extended explanation of the second point, presented without a heading. The idea that God speaks in the early hours of the morning is not just a poetic thought. It is deeply rooted in the Bible, woven throughout its pages from Genesis to the Gospels. Some of the most powerful and transformative encounters between humanity and the divine occur not during the hustle of the day, but in the mysterious quiet of the night. These moments are not only symbolic, but strategic, chosen by God with intentionality. When we begin to recognize the pattern, we see that night, especially the early morning hours, has always been a sacred space for divine interaction. Take the story of Jacob, for instance. In Genesis, we read about a night where Jacob is alone, filled with fear about the unknown future as he prepares to face his estranged brother. It's under the cover of darkness, when no one else is watching, that a man appears and wrestles with him until the break of dawn. This mysterious figure is revealed to be a divine being, God himself. And it is during that long, intense struggle through the night that Jacob is transformed. His name, his destiny, and his understanding of God are all changed in those dark hours. God didn't meet Jacob during the day or in a crowd. He met him in isolation, in darkness, in a moment of deep inner conflict. It was a divine appointment meant to occur under the stars, not the sun. We see another example in the story of the young prophet Samuel. As a boy, Samuel is sleeping in the temple near the Ark of the Covenant when he hears someone calling his name. At first, he thinks it's the priest Eli. But after several calls, Eli realizes what is happening. It is the Lord speaking. This moment is profound, not only because God speaks audibly to a child, but because it happens in the quiet of the night when everything else is still. Had it happened in the daytime, it might have been dismissed as a thought or a distraction. But in the silence of night, the voice stood out. It demanded attention, and it was in that very moment that Samuel began his journey as a prophet of Israel. Even Jesus himself, the Son of God, often sought the solitude of the early hours. The Gospels tell us that Jesus would rise while it was still dark to pray in desolate places. This wasn't random. He understood the spiritual value of the early morning, the clarity it brings, the closeness to the Father it offers. He didn't just pray in the Garden of Gethsemane before his crucifixion at night because of timing. He prayed because it was the hour of deepest spiritual battle. It was in the stillness and weight of the night that his surrender became complete. These examples are not isolated. They form a consistent theme in the Bible. God doesn't just speak through thunder or fire or angels. He also speaks in the night when his people are alone, vulnerable, and still. The early morning hours strip away the distractions, the posturing and the masks we wear during the day. In that sacred quiet, there is room for truth. Truth about who we are, who God is, and what he's calling us to do. So when we think of 3 a.m., we shouldn't see it as just a random hour. We should remember it as part of a holy pattern, a divine rhythm that stretches back through the history of faith. It is in those hours that God has always chosen to meet with his people, to call them, to wrestle with them, and to prepare them for what comes next. Certainly, here is a deeply extended explanation of the third point without a heading. Waking up in the middle of the night, especially around 3 a.m., can feel strange, even unsettling. Many people experience it and dismiss it as a random sleep disruption, the result of stress, a vivid dream, or even an uncomfortable sleeping position. But what if it's more than that? What if it's not just your body stirring, but your spirit being summoned? In the realm of spiritual insight, such moments are often not coincidences, but callings. They are divine appointments, heavenly nudges meant to awaken not just the body, but the soul. There is something sacred about being pulled from sleep without warning. The human body craves rest. We are designed to sleep for healing and restoration. So when the body is disrupted from that rhythm, especially at a consistent hour like 3 a.m., it shouldn't make us pause and ask, why now? In many testimonies from people across cultures and faith backgrounds, this early morning awakening is often accompanied by a strange stirring, an inexplicable urgency to pray, to reflect, or to simply be still and listen. That urgency doesn't come from the mind. It doesn't feel like a thought or even a natural emotion. It feels deeper, as if the soul is being summoned into a conversation that has already begun. Spiritual sensitivity increases during the night, especially in the hours when our logical defenses are down. Our schedules, our to-do lists, Our outward concerns fade into the background. What remains is the raw, uncluttered self, the part of us most aligned with heaven. In those quiet hours, God may choose to stir us, not because he couldn't speak during the day, but because we wouldn't have heard him then. At 3 a.m., there are no meetings, no distractions, no phone calls or emails. The world is paused, and in that pause, God finds an open channel. When someone wakes up at 3 a.m., it could be because their spirit is picking up something their conscious mind cannot. Perhaps a warning is being given. Perhaps a name or face flashes across the mind unexpectedly. Someone who needs prayer, someone in danger, someone about to make a life-altering decision. Other times, it's not about someone else at all. It's about you. It's a moment God has chosen to begin dealing with your heart, to whisper things you've been too busy to hear, or to birth a vision that could only be conceived in silence. There's also a deep intimacy in being called by God in the middle of the night. Think of it, the creator of the universe, waiting for the moment when everything else is quiet just to speak to you. It's personal, it's intentional, and it carries weight. These moments are often remembered for years, not because they were loud or dramatic, but because something shifted inside. A realization, a clarity, a breakthrough. What begins as a simple waking moment can end as a life-changing encounter. It's easy to dismiss these awakenings, to roll over and fall back asleep. But to do so may mean missing an encounter that heaven designed just for you. It's like hearing a soft knock on the door in the middle of the night. You can ignore it and stay in comfort, or you can rise, open the door, and step into something sacred. God doesn't operate on our schedules. He's not bound by our calendars or preferences. When he speaks, it's always with purpose. So when he chooses 3 a.m., when he disturbs your rest, it's not to inconvenience you, it's to invite you into something deeper. What if that stirring isn't random? What if it's holy? What if the very thing you've been praying for is waiting on the other side of your obedience in that quiet, dark, sacred hour? In ancient times, the night was divided into 4 distinct watches, each marking a portion of the dark hours between sunset and sunrise. The 4th watch began around 3 a.m. and lasted until 6 a.m. It was the final watch of the night, the time when the night was at its darkest, just before the first signs of morning light. This specific time held not just military or practical significance, it carried spiritual weight. In the biblical worldview, the 4th watch was not just a transition between night and day, it was often the hour when God moved in miraculous and unexpected ways. It was the hour when breakthrough came. One of the most powerful moments in Scripture tied to the 4th watch is found in the Gospel of Matthew. The disciples are out on a boat in the middle of the Sea of Galilee, battling against strong winds and high waves. They are exhausted, frightened, and losing hope. They had obeyed Jesus and gone ahead, yet found themselves in a storm. Isn't that how it often feels in life? We follow God's leading, and yet storms still come, struggles still hit. The darkness feels thick, and help seems far away. But then, during the 4th watch, around 3 a.m., Jesus comes to them. He does not come in a boat. He doesn't calm the storm from a distance. He walks on the water. He walks through the very thing that is threatening to drown them. And his arrival is not only miraculous, it is perfectly timed. He comes not too early, not too late, but at the very moment they need him most, in the deepest part of the night, when their own strength is nearly gone. That image is so powerful because it reflects how God often moves in our lives. He tends to show up when everything else has failed, when our efforts have come to nothing, when we have no choice but to look up and cry out. It is in that moment, the moment when we are at the end of ourselves, that he walks in. And just like the disciples, we don't always recognize him at first. Sometimes his approach even startles us. We expect a rescue in one form and he comes in another. But it is always him. He is always on time and he is never far away, even in the storm. The 4th watch also symbolizes the turning point. It's the moment between the darkest part of night and the coming dawn. Spiritually, this is a profound truth. God often waits until the darkest moment to reveal the brightest light. He allows us to reach the edge of our understanding, the limit of our control, so that when he moves, we know without a doubt that it was him, not our wisdom, not our strength, not our plans, just him. Waking at 3 a.m., being stirred in that fourth watch, may mean more than you realize. It may be your spirit sensing a shift, a transition, a divine intervention approaching. Perhaps God is trying to get your attention because something is about to change. The battle you've been fighting may be about to turn. The prayer you've been repeating in tears may be on the verge of being answered. But before the breakthrough comes, He calls you to awareness, to watch with Him, to trust Him even when you're tired, even when you're afraid. The fourth watch is not just a time on the clock. It is a prophetic space, a place in the Spirit where God does what man cannot. It reminds us that even in the darkest hour, He is moving. Even when we see nothing, He is near. And when the time is right, He will step into the storm, not to watch us sink, but to lift us up.